What's up guys, Ivan Carranza here and welcome to Bass Tone Tuesday. Today I'm gonna show you the bass sound or how I dialed in the bass sound of the song Chasing Horizons by my band Ashmakers. I'm gonna show you which sounds I used, the signals that I used. We're gonna listen to it in the mix and compare. And we're gonna listen to the final result as well. So let's go to my screen and check it out. Okay, so here we have my screen. This is Logic, and we have several tracks here. The one on top is the final mix. So that is the mastered version of the track. I'm gonna play you a little section so you can hear. And by the way, in case you haven't listened to the track as well, I'm gonna put a link in the description below. So you can listen to it. It's on Spotify and all other streaming platforms and also here on YouTube. And you've probably seen my playthrough video of the song. So go check that out if you haven't done so yet. But here's a little portion of the song. That's the intro, right? Okay, so that gives you already an idea of what the bass sounds like. Now let's listen to it on its own. That's the final version, the mixed bass. Now in the mix, like the one we heard before. Drums. Okay, so it's a pretty distorted bass sound, right? It's a very aggressive sound. And how did we got there? Well, I recorded a clean track, which is right here. And then I made several versions that I then sent to my friend Henning, who is the sound engineer of the band, and he made a terrific job mixing the song. I'm really happy with what he did. And let me show you how the bass DI sounds like on its own. So it's completely clean, there's nothing in there. Quiet. So that is my Dingwall Super P going straight into my Noble DI, completely flat, and then into a Neve 1073 channel strip, and also there's nothing happening. So that's just the pure signal of my bass, of the P pickup, and from this signal, from the clean. And let's take a look at the frequency, just to out of curiosity to see what is going on there actually. You can see the bass frequencies extend almost to 5K, but the main area is like this portion, right? So from that signal, I made several versions of different amp tracks with distortion and whatnot, but the ones that ended up in the mix, in the final mix, are these three. The DI, the Ampeg Crunch track, which I'm going to show you in a second, and then a Parallax track, which is the Neural DSP Parallax plugin, and the Ampeg one is the Plugin Alliance SVT VR. Now let's listen to the same section, but with the Ampeg track. parallax. DI. The mix. Okay, so as you can see, the bass, the final version is definitely very bitey, very aggressive, and it's not any of these three things. It's actually a combination of those three tracks. And what my friend Henning did was to use the lows of the DI. He kept the mids and the grit of the Ampeg crunch, and then used the parallax on top for a treble, for that really nasty grind to cut through the guitars. And how did I end up using these three, or how did I dial that in? Well, what I did was, like I mentioned, I tracked the clean bass first, and then I listened to the guitars that we had, which are this. You play the bass together with that. And it's pretty weak on its own. If I only have the bass DI, there's not really that much punch, that much power in it. Now let's do the same thing, but with the Ampeg crunch. And then with parallax. You can tell there that the parallax one is thinner on the low end. It doesn't have that much weight to the sound, but it cuts through a bit better than the Ampeg crunch. The Ampeg crunch has a bit more weight, has a thicker midsection, so to speak. And what I did was I grabbed the DI and I dialed in the plugins by comparing the DI and the drums as well. But I used this one for the Ampeg, and these are the settings that I used. So I used the channel 1 on the bright channel, and I put some volume to get more breakup. I boosted some treble, a bit of bass, and I also cranked the input a bit. And then to compensate for the increase of volume, or for the increment of volume, I pulled back on the power sock minus 15 dB to avoid clipping the track. And I used a SM7b Dynamic 7 mic, and I'm not sure which ribbon this is, but I used this cabinet on here. So these are my settings for the Ampeg crunch track. You can copy them if you want. And then for the parallax version, I also have made a preset. So let's take a look. These are the default settings, and I made one here. This one should be. right? Now, what my friend Henning did on top of that, and I don't have that particular plugin, is that he run this the three signals, the DI, the ampli crunch, and the parallax, through a emulation of a Sansamp PSA rack unit by Nembrini Audio, if I remember, that's the company. I plan to get that plugin at some point, but what you hear on the song and the final version of the song is those three signals, like I mentioned: the lows of the DI, the mids or the body of the ampli crunch, and the top end of the parallax. And now, what would be interesting is to hear how all the sounds stack up on top of each other. So let's listen to the chorus on its own first. Still there. There goes a pretty cool riff, so let's play it because I really like that riff. Okay. Now, let's start with just the drums. Just the guitars. Vocals.
Chasing horizons. Please, baby, don't have no doubt. It's getting late. The little time I have is running out. Chasing horizons.
That's just the four of us shouting at the mic. And then the bass you already heard. Now let's stack things on top of each other and see how that develops. So just the drums first. Now the bass. Vocals. On the lead.
It's getting late, the little time I have is running out. Chasing horizons. I need you here with me. I wait until sunrise, 'cause you're the only one.
So that's pretty much how I dialed in the sounds of this track of Chasing Horizons. And I'm gonna do a breakdown of how I came up with the different parts for the instruments, the riffs, and what my approach was when writing these basslines in another episode. But I think this technique of, having three signals and stacking them and blending them is a great way to get a very punchy and aggressive sound. So you're creating a layer of bass tone. One carries the lows, the other one the mids, and then on top you have that really gritty bite. And of course I played with a pick here, so that is the recipe for the sound here. I hope you guys liked the video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also don't forget to check out the track and the official video. There's a link in the description below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.